Hi, I'm Ollie.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And this is a comic strip AP of Dungeon World featuring the adventures of Alford Soultaker. When we last saw Alford, he was deep in the wilderness of the north where he is hunting a monster with Jorek Lysmith and Helda Gamethief. But Jorek has made off with Alford's sword, Wormblight, and Alford is deeply keen to get it back as quickly as possible before its dark secret is discovered.
The war is over. The exiles travelled north, supervised by a proud and pious man, Governor Othelin Alderman, and his contingent of still loyal soldiers. The rest of us travellers were treated like the reviled outcasts that we are. Around us the world changed, green to brown and finally to white, so much endless snow. Hunger took some, the cold took yet more, until fatigue and low reserves forced us to end our travels. Unaccountable leagues from home, Alderman came to a halt. There, upon a bleak crag of rock beside a dark pine forest, for all the kingdoms as a proud pioneer at the end of his noble trail, he founded the town of Frostbreach, our new home, and the limits of the known world. My name is Alford Soultaker, and I am a monster hunter.
So, when we last met you, you were just about to go down a large hole created presumably by the monster that you're hunting. You found a sort of a large undulating cave going along below the snowy wastes. And it looks like Jorek has gone down there also.
It looks like he's been taken.
It does look like he potentially has been taken, yes. So do you want to tell me what you are doing?
Helda and I are locked eye to eye, trying to figure out exactly who's in charge of this situation right now. Her having seen this fairly gruff and grumpy and slightly desperate side to me. We break our gaze with each other. Okay, make yourself useful and hold this rope. And I shall just step back to my bivouac, grab the silk rope I've got there for just such an occasion,
Okay.
and hand her one end expectantly.
Right, so what are you taking with you down into the hole?
I have my skinning knife, which is really my only other weapon aside from Wormblight himself. Itself. And I have the clothes I'm standing up in.
Okay, cool.
I also have a bandolier of various supplies, like a kind of medieval utility belt, which I habitually sling over my left shoulder, with various poultices, rations, supplies, a few little odds and sods of adventuring gear, and I have that with me at all times.
Okay. What are you using as a light source?
If you recall, I took a flaming brand from the campfire. So I shall sling the silk rope around my waist, tie as good a solid and firm knot as I can, pick the brand up from the floor before it gets put out by the snow, put my back towards the hole, take a good firm grip of the rope, and catch Helda's eye, nod to check that she's ready.
She is, and she lowers you down. You land on the floor. You rappel down there without too much difficulty. And when you land on the floor, it's kind of like strange squishiness to it. It's kind of like your foot goes into it, and you're put briefly back in mind of your nightmare where you kind of stepped down on the floor, felt it like mud, and you wonder if it's a little bit prophetic, but then you don't believe in that sort of thing.
No, that's nonsense. This is a real world.
It is, but nonetheless, the floor down here is not as solid as you would expect. What are you doing when you're down there?
Whilst holding tight on the rope, I just gently sort of bob up and down, just testing the flooring to get a really good feel for what it is I'm stood on. Is it just simple mud? Am I stood on, a bed of twigs or bones or solid ground? Good, just test it. In fact, even wave the flaming brand down close to my feet just to see what I'm stood on. What kind of footing have I got?
You wave it down across the ground, and it looks like earth. It does look like earth and stone. But most of the walls and the floor and the ceiling even is covered in this sort of like thin, sheeny mucus.
A gentle shudder just runs up and down my spine. What is this?
You don't know. You've not seen anything like this before. And as you do shine your torch about, you can kind of tell that it's that kind of mucusy substance because it's sort of vaguely reflective and kind of the flames glint all the way down the tunnel. What are you doing now?
Can I still catch Helda's eye? How far up is she?
You can't, but you can call to her.
Okay, well I'll just say, Helda, I've hit the ground. Something's been here, something's taken Jorek, I'm sure of it. Can I check for blood?
You can do a discern realities for that.
Okay, right. 11.
11, okay,
Yeah.
3 questions off the list.
Okay, what here is useful or valuable to me?
As you kind of get your bearings down there, your eyes adjust to the dim light, and you can kind of the strangeness of being down here fades just that little bit, and you can smell something above the sort of the general earthy smell, rotting meat coming from a little further down the tunnel.
Does this also seem somewhat similar to the rotting meat smell that I had in my dream?
Well, now you happen to mention it, maybe a little.
Okay, I just shake that thought from my mind. That sort of stuff doesn't happen. What else should I be on the lookout for?
It strikes you that the scale of these tunnels is unlikely to have been made by one creature. It looks like you're going to be dealing with a multitude. You can feel Helda rappelling her way down the tunnel as it kind of shakes the entire tunnel, and she kind of lands on the floor. What have we got?
Well, it's not a something that's taken Jorik. It's some things. There's been more than one thing down here making this tunnel. Looks to me like it's been here some while. As
Helda landed, she kind of stumbled that last little bit and kind of landed quite hard on the floor. And there was a kind of wet as she landed, which echoes off through the tunnels. And then you can hear a kind of a reply sound. But it's not the sound echoing back, it's just a noise in response there. It's a kind of a skittle, 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 skittle. And you can hear more and more of these sounds coming.
I pull out my knife into a position ready to stab if necessary, hold my flaming brand as far forwards as I can to try and make ready for whatever might be coming down the way. And just say, okay, Helda, get ready.
She steps forward a little, draws her sword. Well, it looks like you found our monsters. I'm going to suggest a new form of tracking where you just kind of run around until you fall into whatever lair, and at that point, something swoops down from the ceiling above her and grabs her and starts pulling her up into a tunnel that you didn't even notice was there. What do you do?
Drop my knife and lunge forwards with both hands to try and grab a hold of her sword belt, because it seems like the most solid piece of clothing she's got.
I'm going to say that is a defy danger with strength.
Defy danger with strength. Okay, I'm good at this. Come on. Double 6 again. Come on. Okay. 4 and a 1. That's a 5. Plus 2, 7.
What did you do with your torch when you went to grab Helda?
I will have dropped that as well, down to the ground.
You'd have dropped
I've gone for her belt with 2 hands, so I can take as good a tighter hold on her belt as I possibly can.
So you drop the torch, and you're reaching up for her. You can see this tunnel up above you, which you previously hadn't noticed, and the light on the floor is just kind of glinting just a little up into the tunnel, and you can see this, just flashes of this hideous insectoid thing, mandibles the size of your hands. You think you can pull her down, but you can also see, as you glance down the tunnel towards where that sound was coming from, that there's more of these things coming. You can just see little bits of them off in the distance, flashed up by the light. If you pull her down, you're going to face these things head on. If you let go of her now, you can get away, further down into the tunnels.
Do I have any time to assess Halda's state? Does she look like there's any possibility of her breaking free on her own?
She's screaming and stabbing at this thing with her sword, but she's not in a good position. She's been grabbed out of nowhere. She's still panicking. This thing absolutely has the advantage.
No, I'm going to just shift my weight, swing my legs. I just give one hard tug, lift up my feet, and try and wrench her down with my body weight.
And you both fall hard back onto the ground. You see that thing retreat, but you see 2 more of them coming for you further down the corridor. What do you do?
Do I have time to scrabble for my flaming torch?
Yes, you do. I am going to say that is a defy danger intelligence.
Intelligence, not my strong point. 8.
You grab backwards at the torch and manage to get it in between you and the beast just before it's upon you. And now that you can see it fully lit up, you can see that it's an insect about the size of a horse. It takes up the majority of this tunnel. And it reels back from the torch. You can tell that this thing isn't used to any sort of light, let alone a flame. And you're feeling just a little moment of triumph when it throws back its head and opens its mandibles, and something is just spat at you. And this horrible viscous substance hits your hand where you're still carrying your skinning knife, and it starts to burn. And you can feel that your knife is just corroding and melting in your hand. And as you thrash about in pain, sending the light of the torch this way and that, you can see, just behind this massive insectoid creature, Jorak, holding Wormblight and smiling at you.
something wet.
Sorry.
Something
wet and hot.
Steamy.
Very hot and very, very wet.
Hi, this is Jason from The Gauntlet. If you enjoyed this episode of Comic Strip AP, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. We have many other Comic Strip AP shows available, each organized in their own sequential playlist for easy listening. Just go to youtube.com and search for Gauntlet RPG.